Today's video is very special. In this video, I will share with you, number one, how to stop identifying with the voice in your head, that which claims to be you, but is not really you. I will walk you through how to see this in your direct experience. Okay. Number two, I will teach you how to just let go, how to just drop thinking. Oftentimes when I say just let it go, you may think how to let go, how to just drop thinking. I try, but I can't. Today, you will learn how, again, in your direct experience. Number three, you will learn how to handle the fear of letting go thoughts. Right now, you have a great sense of security that is invested in thinking. You feel safe because you're constantly thinking about your existence. So the mind creates this illusion that in order to be safe, in order to keep the idea of who I am and what life is intact, I must keep thinking. And if I stop thinking, everything's going to fall apart. I'm not going to get anything done. I'm not going to succeed at this and that. I'm going to teach you how to deal with these fears and how to actually, again, let them go completely, how to no longer be controlled by them. Now, next, I will also teach you how to stop unconsciously giving belief to thoughts. It is only because we unconsciously believe in these thoughts, in these ideas that just arise out of nowhere, that they continue to control us. So today we'll be doing a deep dive on how to snap this unconscious belief that automatically gets attributed to these thoughts on behalf of which they traumatize you and control you and manipulate you. Okay? And then lastly, and most importantly, you will learn how to wake up to your true self that is prior to your thinking. That which is aware of your thinking, yet is not involved in your thinking. That which is aware of your entire experience, yet is not suffering your entire anything in your experience. This is a guidance, a meditation that I ran for my School of Awakening clients. It is very deep, subtle stuff. Okay, so I ask you that if you really want to break through with this video, please don't watch it while you're doing something else. Don't just watch it while you're doing chores. Don't just watch it, listen to it while you're driving. Don't just be doing something else while you are listening to this just to add more concepts to you. If you really want to break through with this video, you have to allow it to guide you into the experience of what it is speaking of in your direct here and now. So please watch the entire thing. Try not to skip around and really seek to understand what is being said and verify it again and again in your direct experience. And you will begin to see, when consistently practiced, how this will free you from suffering your mind. Here it goes. So, what I want to cover today is the main thing that we really need to understand, start awakening to, in order to stop suffering the mind. And here it is. Let me share my screen with you, and then we'll get into the guidance. So the main thing we need to start really discovering, that's the right word, is that which sees the thinking is not taking part in the thinking. That which sees the thinking is not involved or suffering the thinking. That which is seeing the thinking does not itself have any judgment or even capacity of interpreting, because interpreting itself is the activity of thinking being seen. So right now we are deeply restless, constantly anxious, fearful, because we just identify at this quote unquote level. We identify with the movement, meaning we impart our sense of being, our sense of knowing, our sense of what I am to just this layer of movement, which is your thoughts. And in this is the entire conceptual framework for what you consider reality, for what you take yourself to be, for what you think of the world, your fears, your desires, your cravings, your resistances, your preferences. The movement of this we identify with. So of course, we always feel restless. You can't fight thoughts with thoughts. You can't fight feelings with feelings. You can't try to solve them. You can't try to figure them out. You have to learn to slip out of it, actually. So the more you battle against it, the more you actually find yourself getting stuck within it, right? So the way to slip out of it is to start becoming awake to the seeing, which is prior to thought. With or without spiritual practice, with or without meditation, the knowing, the what we call awareness, knowing, being, seeing, is already there. That's the best part about it. You are already seeing. You are already knowing. But again, right now, this knowing is constantly being imparted to thinkingness. We take the thinking to be the knowing. But to think is not to know. There's a knowing of thinking. And by learning to just acknowledge knowing, free from thinking about the knowing, we start to, we can say, become more familiar with ourselves as that. Acknowledge that this is me effortlessly prior to me constantly identifying with the moving train of thinking, of fearing, of anxiety. And the more we start to discover our true self prior to thinking, the more you can actually understand yourself to be as you really are and understand reality as it really is, rather than constantly filtering it through the ideas imposed on you by thinking. So the entire objective of our guidance today is I would like to help you clearly see again and again that the seeing is one, prior to the thinking that's arising, and that just by learning to bring your attention away from the thinking, collapsing your interest in the thinking, in these ideas, in these fears, in these judgments, that these projections will start to become weaker. They themselves will just start to fall away because they need you to constantly impart your sense of knowing, your sense of being, your significance, your interest. They need you to constantly impart all those things to the thinking in order to perpetuate themselves. So this is the conceptual prison that we have around us, and it is supplied with the oxygen of interest, of attention, caring. So now instead of caring so much about these projections, which are just ideas, scenarios, concepts, ultimately no reality, we're going to be imparting that interest to ourself, the source of all of this. And all the things we really want, like peace, happiness, sense of stability, you'll never find it here. But you'll naturally start to wake up to that through self-love. Okay? And that's the way that we're defining self-love today. Love of the self, bringing the attention, your entire life force, your interest to self, that which knows. Okay. So you can feel free to close your eyes. The moment you close your eyes and you sit quietly for a little bit, automatically you just become aware of the incessant thought activity. Always describing something or talking about something, even judging this practice, offering its ideas about this practice. Firstly, notice how this voice arises as, me, my voice. This is what I am. It takes on subjectivity. It pretends to be the subject of experience. It pretends to be that which knows. Take a moment to acknowledge that this is a facade. This voice arises spontaneously, it's not in your control. It's happening by itself. And what it is saying is also something you're not choosing. You don't know what your next thought will be. This mental voice is appearing and disappearing, coming and going. You are not the voice, you are the seer of the voice. For the moments that we're here today, care not for what it says. Have no interest in what it says. You'll notice it say, oh, I've heard this before, or I know this pointer. Just acknowledge, once again, is describing. You're not the describing. You're simply the seeing of the describing. Let it go. Keep seeing this one fact over and over again, that you are the seeing prior to the thinking. You're not thinking to yourself, oh, I am the seeing before the thinking. For that is another thought which comes and goes, which passes in your knowing, in your seeing. Acknowledge the fact of your being aware of whatever thought is arising. The voice may be saying right now, oh, maybe this is too subtle, or this is too complicated, I don't know how to do this. Acknowledge once again how you take that to be you, your voice, you speaking, but it is not. That is not you. It is simply a thought. Lose interest in even that judgment. That's all it is. You see how cunningly this voice controls you, how quickly it snatches your sense of being, parading around as you, but it is not you. In this moment, let go of all care, all interest in this thought, and the next thought, and the next thought. Keep returning to the fact of being aware of this thought, not the thought itself, not what it is saying. Have no interest in that. Notice when this is said, you feel like, oh, I may lose something, or what's going to happen to me if I stop entertaining this thought? Oh, is this denial? Is this this? Is this that? Again, notice that this is just the voice again, of which you are just the looking. You are not this concern either. You're not this fear either. You are simply that which sees, that which knows. It is your interest in these concerns which keeps them alive. Your interest in these fears which keep you bound. They appear to be protecting you, but they actually just keep you inside of the prison. We're too afraid to leave the prison. Keep seeing very clearly that these thoughts and these concerns and these fears are coming and going. arising and passing. But you, the knowing of them, is simply here, motionless, judgmentless, fearless. The thinking is totally restless, but the seeing, the seer, you, the seer of the thinking, is at total rest, peace. You are the same regardless of if the mind is happy or sad, experiencing pleasure or pain. You're simply here, alive, aware. If you want peace, understanding, a sense of stability, connectedness to source, you have to become familiar with yourself at this level of subtlety. You cannot keep clinging to your ideas, your fears. You cannot keep imparting your sense of being to judgments, to thought. At this level of subtlety, your questions are not answered. The questions themselves dissolve. That is the birth of wisdom, clarity. And you start to really acknowledge yourself at this level of subtlety, right? As the seeing of the thinking. Then the thinking cannot make you suffer. Anxiety cannot persist. Fear cannot persist. For they are entirely conceptual, and they're trying to protect the idea of who you are. But what you actually are has nothing to protect, nothing to hide, nothing to run away from, nothing to chase, nothing to achieve. But in order to start really unraveling this mystery and to start to discover yourself at that level of subtlety, you have to start losing interest in your thinking, at least during moments of practice. Stop persisting with your doubts. Stop persisting with your fears. Stop pursuing your anxiousness. Fall in love with being aware, wordlessly, thoughtlessly, silently. Pay attention to your most loyal friend, that which is always here and has always been here. Whatever thoughts have to say about this is irrelevant and useless, and it is conceptual. Whereas the seeing of it, it's actual, factual, and prior to these interpretations and judgments. Just keep seeing that no matter how intimately thinking arises and it feels like it is me thinking, me, that it passes. It happens, it is known, and then is no more. And that is also known. Are you that which appears and disappears? Are you that which is being seen to come and go? Or are you the seer? What does your direct experience tell you before you start thinking about it? And what are you waiting for? When will you be willing to let go of interest in your ideas and judgments and doubts? Grace is nowhere in the future. It is here and now, in the form of your awareness. If you wait for it, you'll be waiting forever. What confirmation do we have to get in order to? Stop giving these projections and these judgments so much attention and significance. It not feeling safe is itself another mental idea, another thought. The seeing of it, that which sees this fear, is not afraid. Let it go. Take the leap. You will fall into the embrace of your very own self. You can open your eyes whenever you're ready. Just to wrap it up, I would like to state that you cannot be fearless, you cannot be at peace as a person. There's no such thing. As a person, you can only be in the cycle of pleasure and pain. To be at peace, you have to understand yourself at a subtler level than the appearance of the person, than the thinking. Again and again and again, live in this seeing, in this contemplation. Like, this is the most important, that you are again and again just returning to the fact of seeing that which I take myself to be, this body and mind, is not the subject. It is being seen from a distance by that which is impersonal already, at peace already. We can only be at peace as that which has nothing to protect, which is not itself in movement, which itself is not appearing and disappearing, which is not itself going through this process of change. But for that, we have to let go of our interest in our constant mental dialogue, for that is that glue which keeps our conceptual prison intact. So it's quite simple, you see. We have the key right here, but we are reluctant to take it. So contemplate that. And again, always be willing to take the leap. Now, please practice this consistently. Without that, none of this will really work or be understood at a deeper level. All right, if you need help, please check out my resources in the description box below. They will help you go deeper into this and they will help you stay consistent with this. I hope this helped. I'll see you next time.